They brought him back from the dead, guys. U.S. Senate committee hears testimony from Boeing whistleblower on safety culture report. They brought him back. They removed the bullet from his skull. The court necromancer has revived. We have brought the corpse of the Boeing whistleblower, and we have with us a cleric capable of casting Speak with Dead. Now, if you will all be patient for a moment, as if I cast this on ritual, I do not expend a spell slot.
Because of incidents that have occurred since then, most recently the Alaska Airlines panel blowout.
Wow, I hate looking at this guy, gotta say.
The FAA itself audited Boeing's production and manufacturing, and in March concluded, quote, non-compliance issues in Boeing's manufacturing process.
By the way, I don't think we're watching this entire thing. I guess I wanted to get a vibe check. A lot of people are very unhappy with what Boeing has done. Unlike a lot of cases where corporations have continuously lowered the standards of their production, Boeing is a massive defense contractor, and there are prominent figures in the government and military who really don't like the fact that one of our most prominent defense contractors has decided that quality is not a priority when it comes to their, their production.
Prior to joining the FAA, he was an engineer at Boeing for 11 years. He now serves as a technical advisor to the Foundation.
Techno advisor. He does look like the green. He does look a little bit like the
Sean.
A little bit.
He has a PhD. He's a professional practice assistant professor for integrated systems engineering.
Why didn't the Romani get an ethno-state after the Holocaust? I mean, most people didn't. You know? It was pretty much just the Jews that did. It's like you said yesterday, the generals hate that everything is contracted instead of having everything done by in-house workforce, those socialist generals, Vosh. I mean, to an extent, yeah, kind of. One of the reasons, one of the reasons why, our military shit is so expensive is because our government colludes with corporations to ensure that at basically every level you're overpaying contractors to do the jobs that soldiers could otherwise do. There are so many well-qualified soldiers who are just like sitting around with their thumbs up their ass, not doing anything, while contractors get to, getting paid like $400,000 a year are doing this stuff.
At Ohio State University. He is also an aviation safety consultant. He has served as an aviation accident investigator, and he's a former commercial airline pilot.
Nerd.
As is our custom, I will swear you in, and then we'll hear your individual testimony. If you would please rise. Do you swear that the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? So help you God. Thank you.
Nerd.
Mr. Salapur, you may begin. Thank you.
Chairman Blumenthal, and Ranking Member Johnson, and the honorable members of this subcommittee. Thank you for convening this hearing. My name is Sam Salapur, and I'm a quality engineer at the Boeing. I have over 40 years of...
Nervous.
I have over...
Extremely nervous. Can't blame you. It's a U.S. Senate committee. Just,
40 years of experience as an engineer. I'm not here today because I want to be here. I'm here today because I felt that I must come forward because I do not want to see another 787. I do not want to see 787 or 777 crash. I have serious concerns about the safety of the 787 and 777 aircraft, and I'm willing to take on professional risk to talk about them. First, little bit about me. I came to the United States in 1973 and got a mechanical engineering degree from University of Missouri, where Senator Hawley is from. After that, I worked for companies that they were involved in the space shuttle. I had a friend, engineer, that worked on the space shuttle. He was always complaining about the quality of the O-rings that we had in the space shuttle solid rocket boosters. He was scared that they might fail. He raised his concerns, and he was heard, and he wasn't heard. And 7 brave astronauts, including the teacher in space, died when the Challenger O-rings ultimately failed, just as he predicted. At the moment, I know that if I were ever in a similar situation, I would have to come up and speak up. I have analyzed Boeing's own data to conclude that the company is taking manufacturing shortcuts on the 787 program that may significantly reduce the airplane safety and the life cycle. Since 2013, there have been serious issues on the 787 program, not properly closing thousands of gaps in its assembly of the fuselage on major joints.
This is really bad for Boeing. Has the stock responded to this? Hold on. I'm curious. Not this testimony, no. It's been on a downward trend for the past like 5 months, but not since this testimony. It's gone down quite a bit though. At the beginning of the year, January 1st, 2024, the share price was 260 USD, and now it's down to 167. It's gone down by a pretty significant amount, you know, by a pretty substantial amount. I wonder if, as this gets more attention in the news, it's going to see, like, okay, one of the reasons why I wanted to take a peek at this, though I have a feeling this is not going to be good stream content, because it seems like this is going to be more technical, like, iteration than, like, grilling, you know? But one of the reasons I wanted to take a look was because I saw this. Boeing whistleblower says he's, quote, at peace if something happens to him. Which is so funny. Because, like, it's just like a tacit admission on his end that, like, he fully believes that the last guy was just assassinated, you know? Jesus Christ. Singapore, a quality engineer at Boeing, alleged he was isolated and threatened after he flagged concerns that portions of the 787 Dreamliner fuselage were improperly connected as a result of the company's rush to address the bottlenecks in production. God damn. I'm sad for his coming suicide in a parking lot. Yeah. Yeah, shame. If something happens to me, I am at peace because I feel like coming forward I will be saving a lot of lives. Whew. Good lord. This guy needs to start wearing a helmet everywhere he goes. Remember the idea that he faked his assassination and knowing that Boeing will be sweating? Yeah, exactly. His final act against Boeing was to implicate them in a way they could never disprove. This guy's going to do the exact same thing. This guy's going to set up an elaborate Rube Goldberg machine to, like, shoot himself in the back of the head 8 times while he's tied up. How is there not a criminal investigation on Boeing? Well, there is a criminal investigation going on from the death of the original whistleblower, and I don't believe that investigation has been called off. But you wouldn't criminally investigate Boeing without evidence.
Boeing's standard says that these gaps must be closed, usually by a small shim or filler called a shim when they exceed 0.005 of an inch. This seems very small. Boeing's PR team like to call it the width of a human hair. When you are up,
I thought they concluded it was suicide. That was the report. That was the initial report the police offered. But you can still open an investigation, you know, after that's been provided.
Operating at 35,000 feet. Details are that the size of a human hair can be a matter of a life and death. In a rush to address its bottlenecks in production, Boeing hit problems, pushing pieces together with excessive force to make them appear that the gaps don't exist, even though they exist. The gap didn't actually go away, and this may result in premature fatigue failure. Effectively, they are putting out defective airplanes.
On top of the engineering failures, they also just had to settle a case with the State Department because Boeing employees were leaking data on our flight jets to China. At what point do they just get executed? Like, if any gigantic multi-billionaire military contractor in China was doing shit like this, wouldn't they get executed? Like, I like, Jesus Christ. The State Department said from 2013 to 2017, 3 Chinese employees at Boeing facilities in China downloaded technical data involving programs including the F-18, F-15, F-22 fighter jets, the E-3 airborne warning control system, and the AH-64 Apache attack helicopter. Okay, again, this is another issue with, like, private-public partnerships. If the military itself had been responsible for this data leak, people would be court-martialed over it, like, big time, you know? But because it's a corporation, it's like, oh, you did export violations, you know, like, if Boeing said there were additional unauthorized downloads of technical data at Boeing and partner facilities in 18 countries, including Australia, Canada, France, Germany, Hong Kong, India, Italy, Japan, Kenya, Morocco, Russia, Singapore, South Korea, Spain, Thailand, Taiwan, Ukraine, the UK from 2013 to 2018. I personally think it's an awesome idea for our national security to be left in the hands of dipshit profit-seeking corporations that exercise absolutely no discretion when it comes to the information they have to control or the quality control of their aircraft. I think that's a good idea, and we should keep doing it. Just 50 million?
I repeatedly produced reports for my supervisors and Boeing management demonstrating that the gaps in the 787 not being properly measured or shimmed in 2 major joints of the 787. Evaluating from The 29 inspected airplane data, I found gaps exceeding the specification that were not properly addressed 98.7% of the time. I want to repeat that. 98.7% of the time, the gaps that they were supposed to be shimmed, they were not shimmed. The other issue that I found when you have these gaps,
my only thing with this is that the 787 has had a fairly normal operational history and no recorded fatalities or hull losses since it started operating in 2009. So is the issue a newly manufactured 787, or is it regarding older ones? I think the thing with machines this complicated is that, like, any ups ever at any point in the production are a massive issue, you know, because you never know how many cascading failures need to happen for people to start dying. Like, it's possible for there to be a tiny up on one level and that not really to get noticed or have any impact, but then if you have a tiny up on a second level, the two combine to create a up greater than the sum of their parts, and then you get like that catastrophic cascading up, you know? Like, having one loose bolt is one thing, having two is another. So I mean, I can't say, right? I'm not like a Boeing engineer, but any faults in the production line, any faults in the quality assurance process, you know, they need to be looked through.
And you drill through them, you get some debris in the stack-ups. This is known to be a problem, you know, not a good thing for the airplanes by Boeing. But Boeing data also, you know, from the inspection of the data shows that the debris ended up in the gaps 80% of the time. Again, you know, you have debris in the gaps 80% of the time. I want to make clear that I have raised these issues over 3 years. I was ignored. I was told not to create delays. I was told, frankly, to shut up. At one point, Boeing management got sick of me and raising these issues and moved me out of the 787 program into the 777 program. On the 777 program, I found problems. Again, I found that Boeing started a new process to build the airplane without taking into the consideration of the design of the airplane and how the airplane was designed. As a result, I witnessed severe misalignment when the planes were assembled. Boeing manufacturing used unmeasured and unlimited amount of force to correct the misalignment. And this also weakens the airplane in the long
run. Wait, what? There was a misalignment due to poor machining, and they were like, dude, just push it into place? Wait, did I understand that properly? Like, it didn't fit properly because of the machining? They were like, okay, listen, if we hit it with a hammer hard enough, just give it a good whack. Oh, man. That's crazy.
Long run. I literally saw people jumping on the pieces of the airplane to get them to align. I call it the Tarzan effect, among other improper methods. Again, I raised concerns internally. I was sidelined. I was told to shut up. I received physical threats. My boss said, I would have killed someone who said what you said in a meeting. And then this is not a safety culture when you get threatened by bringing issues of safety concerns. I hope that your work on this issue signals to Boeing that they must...
If a company in Japan did this, the whole board would be, if a company in Japan, if Boeing was a Japanese company, then there would literally be like a monument outside their corporate headquarters where the disemboweled guts of their entire management team would still sit, like in a giant pile. You know, like, unbelievable.
Make real changes and get back to building the airplane safely. I'll be more than happy to answer your questions.
Thank you very much, Mr. Salapur. Mr. Pearson.
Chair Blumenthal, Ranking Member Johnson, distinguished members of the committee, good morning. Thank you for inviting me today. My name is Ed Pearson. My father was a Washington, D.C. homicide detective, and my mom was a nurse. I learned the importance of telling the truth from them, my teachers and coaches, and this was reinforced at the Naval Academy. The military, like all high-hazard jobs, demands that people tell the truth and admit their mistakes, because if you don't, people will die. Since the first Boeing MAX airplane crash, I've spent every day thinking about the victims, their families, and the millions of people that fly Boeing airplanes. I've done everything I can to continue telling the world the MAX airplane is still unsafe and to alert authorities to Boeing's dangerous manufacturing. I'm here today to share 4 key messages. First, the manufacturing conditions that led to the 2 737 MAX disasters also led to the Alaskan accident, blowout accident, and these conditions continue. In 2019, I testified as a Boeing whistleblower. I had previously warned the 737 general manager before the MAX crash to shut down the factory. I also warned Boeing's general counsels, the CEO, and the board of directors before the second crash to shut it down. They ignored my warnings. During my 2019 testimony, I described the chaotic manufacturing, the dysfunctional safety culture, and the horrible job government authorities were doing investigating the two crashes. The world is shocked to learn about Boeing's current production quality issues. I'm not surprised, because nothing changed after the two crashes. There was no accountability. Not a single person from Boeing went to jail. Hundreds of people died, and there's been no justice. Unless action is taken and leaders are held accountable, every person stepping aboard a Boeing airplane is at risk. Government authorities ignored Boeing's manufacturing problems until the Alaska accident. Passengers shouldn't have to rely on whistleblowers to provide the truth. They should be able to get on airplanes and not have to worry about what model it is, whether it was designed and manufactured to the highest of standards, whether the airline is operating and maintaining it properly, or whether government agencies are providing proper oversight. FAA, DOT, and NTSB leaders frequently state our aviation system is the gold standard. There's a reason commercial aviation has been historically safe, and that's because people worked extremely hard for decades to keep them safe. They told the truth. They admitted their mistakes, and they didn't downplay safety incidents.
I think one of the big things that gets overlooked in this as well isn't just the actual safety of moving around in an airplane. It's also the overall civilizational cost of maintaining our air fleet, because maintaining aircraft is not cheap. And the more poorly built they are, the faster they wear, and the faster they need to be repaired, replaced, or that you have catastrophic issues, whatever else. The truth is that we're already subsidizing the airline industry within an inch of its life, and it still barely makes a profit. That is the airline industry, not the airplane manufacturing industry. You know, Alaska, American Airlines, Spirit, whatever. Like, they're already being heavily subsidized. And so, too, of course, is Boeing, largely, you know, government contractor. But, like, we're already pumping a lot of money into this. The existence and availability of airplanes is like a critical point in our international infrastructure. So the more instability there is, you know, the more rickety that like leg of the table gets, the more expensive it gets to maintain, and it ends up being a colossal cost sink. You know, eventually this is going to rubber band back around. I swear to God, it's going to happen. This is going to rubber band back around in the course of like 1 year. Everything involving flights is going to get so much more expensive so quickly. There's going to be this big paradigm shift, and everything's going to snap right back. And flights are going to cost like triple what they used to, because no one is going to be able to afford all of the little like building up sort of like accounting inconsistencies anymore.
These agencies have become lazy, complacent, and reactive. The deterioration has been occurring over several years. My second point is the gold standard is now fool's gold, because the only thing that is more dangerous than a dangerous environment is the illusion of a safe environment.
True.
2 brand new airplanes crashed after exhibiting production-related electrical and electronic defects within their first month of operation, and the NTSB did not investigate the factory. The evidence indicates the MAX crashes were triggered by manufacturing defects, not MCAS software. The NTSB is investigating the factory now. However, the reality is the NTSB is overly dependent on Boeing and the FAA to provide technical assistance in their accident investigations. They are not an independent investigative authority. There is an inherent conflict of interest. The Department of Transportation has been completely useless in helping the FAA do their jobs. They have continued to take a hands-off approach to this entire matter. My third point is, if the leaders of those government authorities, government agencies had done their jobs, investigators would have uncovered a mountain of important information. The FAA would have known Boeing's production processes were a mess and the safety culture was terrible. The FAA could have prevented an ever-increasing list of production quality defects. Instead, they're surprised each time it occurs, showing how ineffective and reactive their oversight has become. Just last month, the FAA reported on uncommanded rolls of MAX airplanes due to wiring that is being chafed. Boeing and the FAA have known about these manufacturing defects for more than 2 years and did not inform the public about this potentially catastrophic condition. There are also Canadian reports of new MAX airplanes with chafed wire bundles containing burn marks and evidence of electrical arcing. Boeing routinely states that their airplanes meet or exceed all safety standards. This is untrue and misrepresents the safety of the airplanes. The company illegally removed thousands of quality control inspections on individual airplanes without the FAA's knowledge and without the knowledge of the airlines. Although many of these inspections have been reinstated, hundreds of airplanes have left Boeing factories without those thousands of inspections.
All right. I think we get the gist of this. If we dedicated the entire stream to covering it, not only would it be redundant, it would also be boring. I'm kind of curious what questions were leveled by the Senate committee. Let me see 1 second. Boeing Senate committee. Usually the news articles have, this is interesting. Everyone says that when they're 20 minutes in, not 4 hours in. Hold on. Let me, yeah, my job is to predict you know, how it'll go down before the 4-hour mark, which is that's the difficult part. Let me see. What does Reuters have to say on this? Fall said the 787, which was launched in 2004, had a specification of 5/1000ths of an inch gap allowance within a 5-inch area, or the thickness of a human hair. I want to see some information. Yeah, I want to see some information on the Senate committee's questions. Is human hair a standard measurement? Yeah, that's the main engineer. That's like it's like a micrometer for engineers, you know. Scott Kirby, CEO of United Airlines, a major Dreamliner operator, brushed off concerns about the plane on Wednesday. Of course, obviously he would say that. Of course, of course. Boeing's CEO last month said he would step down by year's end. It's probably going to be a little bit before we get reports on specific stuff that was said, because the hearing only just ended. How many human hairs are in a football field? Well, football guys tend to shave, right? So probably not that many.